Am I blurry? You gotta be kidding me.
You're a little blur.
Pink, pink. It's the camera so badly wants to focus on the microphones. It's like, forget the people. We just want to focus on the microphones. Okay, Corey, it is the podcast and it's remote. It is going to be 70 degrees, 75 degrees on Sunday, but today it's freezing rain and snow.
I won't believe it until I see it.
Virginia keeps you on your snow and your toes, but I'm excited about 75 degrees.
Oh, I can't wait. And it says 70 degrees for a whole week.
And they said that's out of context. I think it's going to be a rainy week too, but I'll take it.
I'll take it.
Clean up the roads. Your vote. Did the snow piles last through this Sunday? The big parking lot ones.
Yes.
They do. When do they melt?
Yeah. Well, we had some good days this past week and they were still literally.
But 75.
I know, maybe.
75.
Yeah, maybe I've not seen it in so long.
75 is take your jacket off and complain about the heat weather, but actually I'm very excited.
You're right.
I don't think they'll last after the 75 degrees and rain.
I hope not. And I hated that it snowed yesterday and it really kind of stuck.
Gave them a little power, gave them a little gums. Ruth Ann said that at least they look prettier now with new snow.
They do. They were getting a dark hue.
Yeah. Nothing gets, where does the darkness, the gunk of the snowcrete piles come from? Like nobody was pouring stuff on them, but when they're at the lowest, they're very dirty.
I want to say the exhaust from cars. Just right on there.
Which begs the question, and we'll return back to it at the end of the podcast, wearing shoes inside the house, controversial. Because you see how dirty the outside road is. We'll be returning back.
To my husband who wears shoes everywhere.
Do you?
Yeah, because when he was like, I'm gonna wear shoes, then I'm already gonna have to clean regardless.
Pot, me, kettle, pot.
Kettle and pot. But we have a lot of carpets that are a lot of rugs that I don't mind replacing.
Oh, fair. More on that. I want to ask about Ruggables. This is the Sugar Cookie Marketing Group's podcast. It was late last week. We had our first guest, Eugene, but he had to wait for compliance, who took their sweet and lovely in approving that. But we're back to our regular scheduled programming on Tuesdays sometime in the afternoon. Typically, though, this is in person, but we're doing it remote. And I have the nicer camera, obviously, and Corey's using her laptops. Upcoming is the Photography Bootcamp, which is actually the topic of today's podcast, the AI Cookie Collab. And I would want to talk about that Irish icing class. And if you want to talk about the upcoming Easter class in a minute, we can do that. My quote of today is the single most important component of a camera is the 12 inches behind it.
Is that you?
Your brain, yes, the face, the human. So that is the topic of today. Now, this whole week, we've been putting together our second boot camp in 2026, and it's cookie photography. And Corey is the heavy lifter on this. I edited all the videos and got them loaded yesterday. So that thing is going to kick off actually on the 5th and the 6th. It's a 2-day boot camp. The boot camp is a new concept if you're new to the podcast. It's a new concept for the Cookie College, our membership. You can taste test a membership for $13 once a month for these boot camps. And when you're ready to sign up, you get the Cookie College at $13 off and all future boot camps included.
Yeah.
So I think it's great. Now, when you go to sign up, and I figured out how to do this last night, I meant to tell you, when you go to sign up and you purchase the boot camp, you're immediately able to sign up for the Cookie College at that discount.
Oh, that's
there.
Nice.
Bam, bam. But also, if you're not ready to commit yet, you have 7 days after the boot camp to snag that discount. Okay, Corey wants to talk about 5 steps to better cookie photos. Cookie photos on the brain. That's all we've been talking about.
It's all we've been talking about. And it's not necessarily like I can say do 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's what's in the boot camp. But I want to just talk about almost spitballing and opinion based why photography is so important when it comes to bakers in particular. And I have a little listy. I know Heather has it pulled up. I only have one screen. Heather's working on 50 screens. So it must be nice on
NASA, Houston, we have problems.
But the number one thing when it comes to photography is just the marketing aspect of it. People are visual. That is what they are. That is who we are. So we buy with our eyes. We eat with our eyes. When things look appealing, our mouths water. When things don't look appealing, we say, ooh, I don't.
I know I've read a study, and I have to mute Facebook. So sorry. Got a lot of things running here. I read a study on, like companies like IHOP.
Yeah.
their menus to have photographs of some of
Yeah,
the
they do.
plates. I'm always more inclined to order something with a picture of it. Call me a 5-year-old. I want to see a
Well,
picture.
I also know you as a shopper, when we go into a store that sells clothing, me and you will stop and look at the mannequins first.
The mannequins are the best part. Did you ask a question that's going viral? I have got to
We
find
did.
Facebook and destroy
We
it.
did. We did. I asked, what will you never sell again?
I like to leave many instances of Facebook up on my computer because I use Facebook Planner and then I schedule in the groups. Then I never close out of them. They're forever there. And then it just every notification pings about 5 times.
And that one,
Um,
everyone I said,
yeah, so
K-pop's good.
explain us through that back to what you were saying.
Yeah.
The visual representation of a product is more inclined. I'm going to see if I can find that study I read.
The and Heather is right. I know when we go to restaurants, granted, when you go to a higher end restaurant, they're not going to have photos in there. But if you go to places like IHOP, I know I went but got my son McDonald's the other day, and they have these giant things that you order from, and they're electric, and it had photos, everything popping up, trying to upsell you. Does this look good? Do you want to add this to your order? Do you want a little apple pie thing? So photography is huge when it comes to marketing, and I know there's this new restaurant that opened near us, and it's like a high-end restaurant-ish. Bourbon and Fig is what it's called, and people were wondering about it because no one knew what the food looked like. So anytime someone posts a picture of their meal, that post almost goes viral in the local group because people are like, oh my goodness, that looks so good.
I mean, I wouldn't know what it was, especially in the location. The location where this new restaurant opened up is fascinating because it's actually a poor location. Just the age of the building, the access to it, but the environment, the pictures, it's actually a high-end restaurant, but you wouldn't have known that look, judging the book by its cover. Here is that study. Menus with high quality photos can increase restaurant orders sales by up to 44%. So menus with photos, delivery platforms can increase by 15 to 44% when you see a photo. And I know I am that person. And it says through this article, customers remember 65% of what they see, but only recall 10% of what they read. I am very guilty of never reading the description on much on a menu.
True, true. And just to the point that you said, this restaurant that's opening is in a very outdated kind of strip mall. And that's why Heather's saying it doesn't seem like that place. When we're baking from our home as home bakers, a lot of people have a stigma around other people's homes. You've seen that, the dog and the little paw biscuits, and you're like, is their home disgusting?
The
I don't know.
company
I'm taking
potluck.
the risk. Yeah,
Yeah.
the potlucks. And we all have these ideas of what other people's homes are. And your photos can actually demystify that a lot and kind of dispel rumors and dispel thoughts and concerns folks might have.
Well, it's the same thing. Anything you order online, if I am buying a piece of furniture, if I'm renting an Airbnb, or if I'm going to a beachside vacation, or if I'm getting food from IHOP, when I can see a high quality image, it allows me to almost picture myself there. And with cookies, I think it allows us to picture the reaction of the person we give it to?
Yeah. Yeah, you can almost, it's like it's that last little mental image that you need to be like, I think I could see myself bringing these to a party and the party person just being like, oh my soul, I can't believe you brought me these cookies.
In a weird world. And when I first started dating apps weren't out yet, but now they are. And what you see is people are like, hey, here's a bunch of photos of me. Can you picture yourself in these photos with me? If so, swipe right. Right. So the pictures breed. What was that?
This is you. You could be right here.
You and me could be holding this fish together. So you can kind of say like the visual representation of the product allows the user, the end user, me, to imagine myself there at the restaurant,
Yeah.
at the Airbnb, giving the gift.
Mhm.
Without that, though, the brain is forced to do a lot more decision making.
You're going off of the copy that somebody's using to describe something. It's very hard to visualize. So you can say, order your St. Patrick's Day cookies now. Okay, yeah, St. Patrick's Day. Right now, my brain goes to clovers, I guess.
Uh-huh.
Maybe the rainbow,
Let me
maybe a
tell you,
little.
it's a shamrock. I had to learn that for the cookie class. I knew somebody was gonna be like, you saying 4-leaf clover, but the 4-leaf clover has 4 leaves. The shamrock has 3 leaves. I think the shamrock is more closely associated with Ireland than the 4-leaf clover, which is associated with luck.
It is. Good job. Good
There you
job.
go.
So you're right. Like we can describe a photo, but if the phrase runs true, a picture is worth 1,000 words. The photo is doing the heavy lifting. Your copy is accompanying that. So in a world where we are digesting images, reels, videos, at an all-time high. I mean, social media is literally everywhere. You have the news stations when I go to the gym, it's constant commercials on my phone, constant commercials, and all of them are very creative heavy. And creative is just a fancy term to say video or image
Imagery.
heavy.
Yeah.
And that's because it's what draws people, it stops people from scrolling. And then it's your copy or your discount, your deal, your ad that really gets them to turn into buyers.
Question for you.
Sure.
Would you rather a baker with one quality photo or 10 decent photos? Which one would you tell them to post?
One quality photo. I actually went through my insights of the last 28 days on my personal baking account where I sell to the end user and then they come up, pick up my house and things like that. My number one engagement driver wasn't a cluster of photos. It wasn't reels. It was a singular photo in the feed.
Sometimes I like to see what Gary Vaynerchuk is up to because I feel
Yeah.
like he's always testing something. And the new one is interesting. He'll ask a text-based question, but put it in a graphic. And at the bottom of the graphic, it said answer in the comments.
I mean, people, that's what, like, comment, subscribe. When you tell them what to do, people are more apt to do it.
I think it's fascinating though that even a text-based question he has
Yeah.
turned into an image because he likely knows they perform better. I mean, you can see it on your own page. Unless I do something that's virally humorous as a text-based thing, it's always the image that performs better. It's just more visually appealing.
Yeah, it's just eye-catching. And as the world consumes more media on social media, we can't become more bred to stop for things with images and for things with video. And that's why it's so important to showcase what you're making and what you're baking in the best light possible. Lighting being a great thing that you'll learn in the boot camp, because that's what leads to sales. And I can 100% attribute most of my sales, most of my first person newcomer sales comes from the photos I post.
Mm.
Reoccurring orders come because they like the customer service and they like the product. But getting someone in the door who's new, who's never heard about me, it's my photos that bring them in.
I don't believe anybody would buy a car from a listing with no images.
1,000% no. I
Right.
want
So
60 or 60 plus images or more. I want to see what the tread, every
yeah,
little
I
tread
don't want
section.
your fancy car show image. I want to zoom in on that scratch you keep talking about. That kind of one. But I think I always ask myself if you question if this marketing approach is right or wrong, ask yourself what you do as a consumer.
Yeah.
And if it ain't a picture, you ain't got my order. And I find myself very heavily when I go to restaurants with pictures that I'll order from the picture.
Yeah, sometimes I see bakers for pre-sales like they run out of time. There's only 24 hours a day. I get it. They'll take the cutter shop image and they'll be like, "Here's the ideas that I have." And I'm like, "Wow, you probably will get some sales from that, but you would get so many more with a photo of the end product of what your user would actually be coming in picking up that day."
I think you guys as a bakers can see a cutter shape and translate it into a design in a
Yeah.
cookie. But us other folk, the eaters, we are like, what is
I
that?
mean, cutter shops do, they look like cartoon images,
Oh,
honestly.
yeah,
Like you
yeah.
could just put a cartoon up there and it looks the same. So I do think bakers, because we've been doing it for so long, we can imagine it as a cookie. I don't know if the end user who's never been associated with cutter buying, cutter shops, royal icing can picture it as well. It's better than nothing, but
Well,
it's
consider
not the
this.
best you could be.
If you were going to buy a Mercedes used, right? And so somebody's like, I
Yeah.
have a great Mercedes. I wasn't able to take photos, but here's what it looked like when it came out at the dealership. Like, here's a professional image of Mercedes pushed out. Would you still like to buy the car? It's like, well, that's hard for me to translate, even though it is the exact same car. It's from Mercedes. They built the car. It's the other car that they sent out to you. I need to see the representation of reality
Yes.
to make the
Yeah. The
purchase.
representation of reality. I mean, I know that there's crumbs on real cookies. There better be crumbs on your graphic, to really kind of sell it because you're right. You're painting a picture, and the final step is you give them this photo that they can see in their feeds, and it's their brain connecting the fact that they can take this little thing, give it to their kid on St. Patrick's Day, and the kid's like over the moon, literally eating the moon, Lucky Charm. And that's what your photos are trying to do.
Right. I agree very much. But it's, yeah, so you have here perceived values. These aren't Oreos, and presentation matters when you're asking a lot of money for something that we'll literally eat and see in the toilet at the end of the day. That's so graphic. You typed that out, and I just read it out to you people. You guys enjoy that. I'll say, check out the most recent Oreo commercial. They show up every once in a while. I don't have kids, but I assume they're being blasted on a kids network. It makes Oreos look really appealing. So how Oreos unappealing, but I love them. Oreo, no Oreo hate here. They know the power of advertisement. They know the power of photography and imagery. We can't snooze if Oreo's even trying for market share, you know?
Yeah, I mean, Oreo's not pretty. So then they can go overboard with their marketing because they can have a little, caricature come in and eat an Oreo and it's all like, 3D rendering. But because our cookies are so pretty and so specific and so detailed, we don't have to go overboard with our photography. We just have to capture one really good photo to show our end users to do the selling for us.
All right,
Oreo's
question.
got to be like, hey, these little brown guys, they've looked the same for 54 years.
I said it on the last podcast. I'll say it this one. Mega stuffed is just the double stuff. They switched it out on us. And yeah, I believe in Reese's and Kit Kat chocolate conspiracy theory that the chocolate's been switched out. Even though the Reese's family said, no, it ain't taste the same. You have this interesting next point, proof of skill. Asking higher prices, you've got to show why you're asking for more money. Saying copy like you're paying for years of knowledge doesn't show them why they need to buy from you. The imagery is proof of the quality. So I'll say, new bakers, seasoned bakers alike, photography will still improve your sales. Even if your skills are different from somebody who's been in the game for a while, better photography, better ingredients, Papa John's, right? It's just all related there. You always laugh at that joke.
I do. Because I know you're going to do it when you pause for so long.
Better
photography.
Better
be the Papa John.
So, question for you, since you want this to be conversational. If a baker took a terrible photo, but it is the only photo, would you tell them to post it or post nothing?
So, something
the terrible photo as in bad lighting. It was late at night. They used overhead kitchen lights. It was all they had. They ran out of time.
It's better than nothing. You can't go back and undo it, I would say. And what we cover in the boot camp is how to incorporate that photography time into your baking schedule. Something is better than nothing. People buy with their eyes. If they can't see it, they don't know you can do it.
I know I'm going to add a subtext here that I didn't give you as an option in my question, but if you had a terrible photo or you had an old photo that was better, I'd post the older photo that was better before I posted the terrible photo just to put content up. Because that photo, it's not like good photography sells and bad photography doesn't sell. It's bad photography actually takes away from sales.
It can actually be a turn off.
Yeah, a deterrent. If I saw...
I see a lot of bakers sometimes run into, and I see them all the time, photo dump. I'm like, photo dump, but all your hard work, why are you dumping it?
Because it's always like, sorry, I've been busy.
You've been busy. You're trying to play catch up. Life is life. But it'll be a photo dump and it will be like the cookies maybe next to piles of royal icing, and the icing's leaked out, which is totally normal. As a baker, I know that happens. Your end user doesn't know that your dirty workspace that is filled with icing that you probably cleaned and Clorox before you used it is normal. But what you're showcasing to them is, my house is a little dirty. But whether it is or not your photo, we have an older sister, and if you send a photo to her, you best believe she's checking everything but the subject.
We call it picture perimetering.
Down.
Picture perimetering. We call it picture perimetering. I'm not even saying no, and I sound like an idiot. The perimeter of the picture she is scanning. She's not looking at what you sent. She's looking at everything around it.
And that's why your photography is so important, because you don't know what that other person is looking for in their photos. I know one time someone posted that they sold a bunch of DIY kits and they posted it as a win in the baking group. And you were like, oh, wow, congratulations. A lot of bakers said, your DIY kit box is on the floor. That's gross. You got Nathan walking in with his shoes from the outside. You don't know how someone is going to interpret something. So you don't want your photos to be a turn off and you're just posting it because it's some content and content's king. We want to make sure that our business and our brand, and if we're asking a lot of money, it shows why we're asking a lot of money in our photos. and it translates. So your brand runs through the entire process from your cookies are high end. I've yet to meet a baker who said their cookies look good and taste bad. So the things that are going to sell it are how you're presenting your stuff to your market.
We always say that when you blame competition,
Yeah.
the only solution is murder, right? So we can't clear out competition by offing our enemies, right? But what we can do is up our offering. And I think a lot of times people are like, well, I get better ingredients, better pizza Papa John's. I can do better ingredients. That's going to increase my cost. I can do more fancy packaging. I think a massive win over your competition is better photos, and it doesn't cost much money. That's part of the boot camp is Corey's telling you guys how to take photos with a high-end camera, but also with a cell phone. I think you even leaned more into the cell phone. Better photos are an easy, cheap way to gain an edge over your competition, especially in a saturated market. If your competition doesn't have photos dialed in, easy way to gain more market shares right there is to have better photos. And yes, community over competition for sure, but you still got to make the sale. You still got to get your bag. So what you're going to do is, instead of saying, nobody buy from Corey, she's a loser, I'm going to say, let me see Corey's photos. How can I increase my photos to be a little bit sharper than that, a little bit faster, better, stronger?
Yeah.
Not maliciously, but it is work. It is business.
Oh, it sure is. Competition is there, and maybe someone has like a God-given talent and they're really good at really hard decorating skills.
Darn
and you're
them.
like, but I'm really good at making cute stuff. Cute stuff, you can outsell someone who is more talented than you by how you present yourself to your audience. It's unfair, but it's fair for us who just like making cute cookies.
You know what ads I see a lot? McDonald's. And I'll never rag on McDonald's. I love them. I love their public bathroom network that on a road trip, you're thankful that McDonald's exists. Sometimes on a road trip in the middle of nowhere, I'm like, what would we do if the McDonald's wasn't here? But I went on Sunday I found a TikTok of this local couple in Leesburg, and they said they found the best burger in Loudoun County. It was hard to find that location. I even had to say, am I in the right place? It didn't have a sign. I'm not sure it was trying to give speakeasy vibes, but I said, I'm here for a burger. And they're like, upstairs. I'm like, do I need a secret handshake? I get there. The burger is much better than a McDonald's burger, and the price reflected that. However, McDonald's has more market share than this best burger place would ever have because it has great marketing. And a lot of that comes down to great photography. I only went to the best burger place in Loudoun because I found that TikTok. But I know if I need a burger quick, McDonald's my girl.
Imagine someone saying, I know the best cookie baker in Northern Virginia. They tag Mixing Bowl. Someone goes to see, why is Mixing Bowl the best baker? And then they're wowed by photos. That's a slam dunk sale. If they're just taking the words, my photos are like a little cringe, a little gross. You're seeing my dinner crumbs around my photos. My workspace is bad. I said, I ran out of time, but here's what I've been making. They're going to have to take someone else's word for it. And they might, but they might not. And you won't know how many sales you lose for the fact that
you just never had the order
to par.
I don't want to say like a dirty workspace. You can have the cleanest workspace in the world, but if your photo looks dingy, it reflects on your clean workspace negatively.
Well, your cookies can be pristine. They can be amazing. The details, top notch. The color's amazing. Your icing settled just so perfectly. But a bad photo doesn't showcase that. So people will look at the photo and be like, "Oh, those are cookies that are kind of cute," but you lose the awe factor, the wow, the oh my goodness, I see why she's charging that much because your photos just don't do it justice. They don't add the perceived value. Your cookies are worth it. You've tasted them, you tried them, you know the work that goes into them. But you're trying to convince somebody who's finding you on places like social media and the internet why they should literally part with a big chunk of cash to invest in cookies that they're literally going to eat and not see again.
Yes. Yeah. I like to loiter in the car groups, not buying anything, have nothing to add, don't know how to change my own oil, barely. But I love to see the listings. And I don't know, and you can get mad at me. I'm going to say boomer behavior. When somebody touches a photo that's more horizontal than it is vertical, it creates those massive black bars above and below the photo. And then this person screenshots that, and then they list their car with that image, which is now pixelated because you took a small image, screenshot it on your phone, which compressed it, and then uploaded it again to Facebook, which compressed it. And now the most of the images of these two black bars and a little tiny car that's a couple pixels wide. And you're like, and they're like, why is nobody buying this? And
Yeah,
it's
they're
because I can't
asking.
picture myself in that car.
Yeah, they're asking thousands of dollars for the vehicle and giving you nothing but crumbs to eat.
It's funny because some of these cars are, are over 100 grand or whatever. No, I'm not buying them, but I love to click on them. But the comments will be like, because they have 3 photos, and someone's like, "Whoa, was it like too many photos?" Sarcastically, no, too much about this car. You're asking for over $100,000 for. Please get away.
Yeah. Yeah. The higher you ask, the higher the asking, the more forthright and upfront you want to be with what you're offering. You don't want to hide behind a cookie cutter's graphic and saying, okay, but I'm
Give me a
charging
hundred dollars
$8 for
for.
this one cookie. That's like, well, what am I getting? What does it
Right.
look like?
Give me your money. You'll find out later. It's a surprise, boss. You have your trust and reliability. They need to see that you can make what you say you can. If you have luxury cookies, prove it. Photos do just that. I agree. The photos are worth 1,000 words. You can have the best reviews, you can have the best social media strategy, you can have the best copy, but if your photos are the stopping point, the clog in your funnel, you won't make those sales because it's hard for us to trust the process.
Yeah, we live in a very saturated cookie area, and I'm fighting in them their streets. The thing that I like to say differentiates me sometimes from the competition is I have very clean line work. I go to the edge of the cookie, my lines are clean. My photos need to show that because the competition is so stiff.
So stiff.
I have to
Much like your icing lines. So stiff.
my icing lines are so stiff. I have to rely on things like that. And when my competitors are offering the identical thank you cookie because they found it in the sugar cookie market group, can't blame them. They're putting tool, bows, thank you cards. The differentiator, the thing that I can showcase, the thing they can't replicate is what I can do behind a piping bag. And my
Yeah.
photos show it.
Yeah. I think the two equal bakers in skill and production, the one with better photos and the one with better customer service will win. Those are two things you can increase without a huge monetary investment.
Yeah, and there's different ways. I know people just entering their baking journey don't have a huge disposable income because you're trying to get orders. The orders aren't consistent, but there's ways that you can work around it. So backdrops, they are slightly expensive. There's so many to choose from. You don't have to just choose the ones that are most common in the baking groups and the marketing groups. I see a lot of people start off with poster board and a plate. And
White
that's
is white.
fantastic.
Not white.
That's
Postboard.
great. And that's affordable. I got a plate and I can get a poster board.
Yeah. Getting the fundamentals, which is a lot. I was watching your bootcamp videos yesterday. You're welcome. I'm with you. Getting the fundamentals dialed in and then slowly increasing the quality of the fundamentals will allow you to get that edge up. But there is a foundation that needs to be built correctly. A lot of times when I see people put the cookies directly on granite countertops, I'm like, you're missing the plot here. You are getting that photo. Your cookies are cute. Your very, very busy granite countertop, which was meant to be busy so you couldn't see spills, functional for a home, is not functional for a photography setup,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
you have the two things working. The thing that hides spills so well is also the thing that's distracting from your set because that's what it was designed to do.
When my competitors take photos on a kitchen countertop or a busy kitchen table, I'm like, whoa, they're doing my work for me. I ain't got to sweat it as much. It's when they start catching on to the foundational parts of photography, which are very easy. And the
Darn it.
bootcamp covers the foundation because if you can just do the foundation, which is just basically 3 things, your photos will look marginally better. And I do punch the air when my competitors start catching on.
Shoot.
It-
Shoot. Darn it. I got to be better at customer service. Got to talk to people. Then lastly, we have marketing material for years to come. I still use photos from 3 years ago in my marketing today because I got good at my photography 3 years ago. It saves me more time and makes me more money. And I like that because you went through your phone and did a purge, a photo purge, photo reorg. You got them bagged and tagged and in a file structure, I think you said.
I do. I
And
do.
now you say, because my photos were, I invested 4 years ago, even if your skill set increased, there's still a lot of usable content there.
Absolutely.
Right. Once you get the line work done, once you get the flooding dialed in, the likelihood of you getting so increasingly better that that stuff is an embarrassment to you isn't right there. You know, we reached the best of what we got, and it's great enough to make sales, and that's where we really want to sit. Right?
Yeah.
Is good enough, great enough to make the sales. Now we can take the photos, and what Corey's saying is that she did invest in photography that long ago. That now all that material over the past 4 years, she's still able to use today because it represents her brand and a product.
Yeah, imagine if I only started photography, taking really good photos just the past 5 months. And someone in a local group asked for a princess set, but the photo I have of the princess set that I did wasn't a good photo. I'm going to probably still post it, but I might lose out on the sale because of it. The sooner you invest in your photography journey, the more marketing content you have for the years. I post photos from years ago that you would never know. You would think I have made it yesterday because I invested so long ago in my photography. It's working for me. So the amount of time and energy I put in there and the money sucked that it was so many years ago to make the princess set, I can still use it to this day. So I'm getting more return off my hard work and my efforts by just having good photography. And Heather's right. I did a folder structure. So I have princess themed cookies. Any princess themed cookie on my phone is under that folder structure. So when someone in a local community group is asking for a princess set, I have a good photo. I have a targeted photo. I have a photo to stop the scroll. My copy's good. My website's good. My photography on my website is good. Like I'm locked and loaded. I'm ready for that sale. I'm ready to take it and take no prisoners.
She's fired up, boy. She's fired up.
There.
You're lucky, not lucky. Your photography hobby preceded getting in before your cookie journey, which accelerated your for new to market length of time. Because Corey's photography, I want to tell you, she got this camera and there ain't no flower in Virginia that wasn't photographed. Corey was taking photos of every bloomin' bloom. And then I think you took pictures of your dog, and I think it's now your tattoo on your arm, if I'm honest. I think that was your photo.
It is my own photo.
Yeah, from this little hobby time where you said, I really want to be good at photography. I remember you saying that. Then you say, well, I want to get in this hobby of baking, but the photography was already there to prop up your even not dialed in cookies at the beginning, but people were still like, this looks great. I'll take it. So I know it's like we're very big on increasing skills, increasing production, increasing product, but photography can be a bridge that can
Yeah.
accelerate those sales to allow you to invest in better tools, better pizza Papa John's.
Yeah. If you're just starting your business out, you might not have the budget for a website. Totally understandable. You might not have the budget for a custom email, custom domain, and things like that. Totally understandable. But what you do have, and what we all have, is a cell phone. And we're
Yeah.
baking and making cookies. So if you're tracking with me here, you can actually accelerate your revenue in your business by just focusing on good photos. You have the Facebook page, you post to the Facebook page, you're in the community groups, you're posting it, but your photos look good. Your photos look better than the competitors. You're starting to get more sales. And you're like, oh, wow, I think people are discovering me. No, they discovered your photos. Your photos was what they bought into.
Uh-huh.
So they don't know you from Adam. They don't know me from the next cookie person down the road. It's the photos that catch their attention. And then it's up to me on my social profiles to keep them up to date, to keep my website up to date, to show customer service, replying to reviews, replying to comments, and really sell them on me as a whole, me as a baker. But it's my photos that started that relationship.
I think it is. Okay, we started this conversation with by taking photos, you can increase your sales by 44%. That's what the study said, right? 44%. I think we're like, okay, that's cool. Yeah, 44%. If I told you in Q1 you'd make 100 sales and 44 of those would come from your photos, that's almost 50%. It's saying photos are accounting to almost 50% of your sales. So meaning bad photos or no photos at all is actually taking 44% of your sales. So I think when it comes to food, when it comes to food and product, photos are so imperative that a lot of bakers are like, I see this, I've sold out. I've sold out for everything. I'm the biggest seller in the history of the world. And people are like, I haven't sold anything. And a lot of times I'll be like, I wonder what the photo looks like. I wonder what your photo looks like. And unfortunately, that's why they call it 17 hats, because when you're business owner, you're wearing the 17 hats. You can have the best photos in the world, but if you don't have a Facebook page, what's the point? You can have the best Facebook page in the world, but if you don't have a website to place an order, what's the point? It all has to work together. I just think that photography in this line of business is a lot of bigger of an impact than some people are giving it credit for. If they did give it enough credit for what it does, you'd be glued to a camera photography course.
I know a lot of bakers because they don't like their photos or they run out of time will use something like a background delete software. So it deletes the background. So you might have taken it on your busy granite countertop. It'll delete the background and throw it up on something. Those apps have come a long way. But the cookies floating in the corners of the rainbow don't paint the picture that it's a cookie. And rainbow's ginormous. Why is your cookie the size of a rainbow? Am I getting a huge cookie? Perspective does a lot for helping someone understand what they're looking at.
It really does. Your next point, point number two. So that was your marketing component, is just the high impact to your bottom line that taking a good photo or taking a bad photo has in your business. The other day, in a group that's not ours, because I know I had to have deleted it. This baker had posted a photo. I think she dropped something. So it was kind of like oh, oopsies, like, look, I dropped something. However, the rest of the home was in disarray. And she said, I think the question was, should I post this for my audience? And people pointed out the perimeter of the picture and like, no, this will take sales from you. While you may think it was funny and kitschy, and it was like, oops, I dropped something. The outside, what it actually reflects to your business, to your audience, is do not order from this person.
Yeah.
So pictures are worth 1,000 words and 1,000 sales. So it's just really important. So that marketing component we drilled into, you guys, it is huge. I think it's just bigger than people realize. Moving on, lighting. You say lighting can make your post scroll stopping. Now, in the bootcamp, Corey had me in charge of worksheets, and I did a worksheet on shadowing, because a lot of times, I've now AI is maybe taking my Photoshop job, but in Photoshop, everyone's like, hey, can you change this? But I'm like, we have to pay attention to the shadows, because that's where the dead giveaway that something's been edited is, because the shadows tell the truth. I can take you out of the room, put you in another room, but the shadowing will not match. And being able to create the shadowing is called like compositing. So image composites is being able to take two images and merge them into one, and the end user can't tell. But lighting is one of those foundational things, because to add it or edit it in post, which means really, I think when we say lighting, what we're talking about is shadowing. To edit that in post is so difficult.
It is so difficult. And in the boot camp, I say trash in equals trash out. You have to have a good foundation to feed your camera lens, because your camera it's capturing what's in front of it. It's not a magician. It's doing its best with what it's given. And if you give it a good foundation, like good lighting, one, it's going to make your colors true to life. So your clients are going to know, especially I have some clients that are super picky when it comes to colors. If they say mauve, they want whatever mauve is, and then I have clients who are like,
you specifically can't see mauve.
I cannot. And that's why anytime someone says mauve, it throws me for a loop. But you have clients who are super particular. They want the cookies to match whatever the invite is. And it's important that your photos replicate that. When you have bad lighting, when you take photos in dark lighting and you refuse to edit it to make it look more true to life, you're doing yourself a disservice, and your customers might have been more excited if the lighting was correct in the photo. But when you give them a dark photo, they're like, oh, this looks great.
Every once in a while, we'll get that person like, oh no, I sent this photo to my customer and they're saying the color's off.
Yeah.
And the comment section will be like, the color's off because the lighting is like, now that I've gotten into hairy homeowner territory, I saw this TikTok, and this girl takes those paint swatches you get from Home Depot.
Yeah.
And she walks around from her interior warm light with the paint swatch to the exterior indirect sunlight, and that paint swatch completely changes colors because of the effects of the lighting on that paint's it's a reflection, right? So like you always see people are like, try to make it true to color, but you can, and once you send it to the customer, you can't. But you could edit that photo to be more true to color, because the environment around the cookie has changed. Camera adds 10 pounds. Camera also adds 10 shades. Like, it's going to have an effect on what that product is.
And I know AI is becoming bigger and bigger, and I still will rely on my own photos more than AI because AI takes an image and it will edit it all together. So it takes something that's from your kitchen table, puts it in a box that you weren't going to normally put it in, and maybe your box is sailing on a boat because it's a first anchors away set thing like that. AI doesn't necessarily care about what the shade of your cookies are. It's you're saying fix the background on there, put it in a box, and it might add a third eye to the baby, but your cookies look better than sitting on the granite countertop. But the cookie does have a third eye. That's
AI,
what you're also
AI
working.
is super cool, man. It's super cool. But I was trying to get it to like paint I took a picture of the house and I was like, paint the walls. And it was like, okay, here you go. And I was like, okay, close. Can you change this thing you just did? And it was like, okay, here you go. But I'm like, but you didn't change it. But it's like, okay, here you go. I was like, but we're still not there. Here's a great example. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, look behind Corey. There's a sign that she's gotten made. It's made of wood, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know, because I've been there, that that sign is white. The cookie here is white, but it is actually green in this video. It's a shade of green. If I used a color picker, you could see that it's slightly tan, slightly green, depending on what the sun is doing to her left. If you look out her window onto the left, it is blue. But I know that is a white panel. So the cameras, because she's got in front of her a warm light, I can tell it is changing the colors of the things around her. So lighting is important. And now you say, well, Corey, this is your photography studio, and it's still not. You know, she's using post processing to get back to that true white color. Because right now, everything in this image is a shade of green because I can see the white behind her is a shade of dull green or tan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So that lighting is important. And then the overhead lighting, and we talk about indirect natural light. And that's mostly what you talk about in that first PowerPoint walkthrough is really sourcing that light. I have some, if you can see on YouTube, you see I have a shadow on my
Yeah.
face. Right. This is diffuse light. I actually bought these on Amazon. They're warm lights and they come in with diffuse light bars. They were like $20. This is better than if you saw a really harsh light. I got one next to me right here. I have to move, so my lamp is on the floor. I can't move them toward me. But if this is a really harsh line, you see how it's barely there?
Yeah.
This is a nice, decent light for just
Well,
casting my
it's
face. But if
making
I
your
had,
makeup look really nice, let me tell you. Congrats on
man,
that.
it's all a lighting game, right? You kind of see like when 4K TVs came out, they were like, we can see too much detail.
We need to get
Same,
better.
same with photos. So while we want to live in kind of warm lighting, that's where we want to live. That overhead, like if you go to a candy store and it's all that white light, that's kind of better for photography, especially when it's diffused, because we can get that true, real color white.
Yeah. And you know why you go to the candy store and the jewelry store and the lights are blinding is because it makes everything look better. The jewelry is flashy, it's catching all the lights. You can see every shape of the diamond, and you're like, wow, that is really pretty. But when you come home, you're like, my diamond seems a little dull. And that's because we live in bulbs because our eyes cannot handle such bright lighting
Uh-huh.
without giving us a headache. But your
But our product,
photos
yeah.
need the right light because I can tell you on a feed in a group where someone asked for I'm looking for a baker who, and I see the photos lined up and it's a dark photo. They might have a good background. The background is not their kitchen table, but their photo is dark as heck. I'm like, oh, I got it. I still got it.
Yeah.
Because I focused on my lighting. Brighter is better when it comes to food. Dark and dingy food is not palpable. Brighter photos makes more sales. I wish I wrote the book. I wish that I wrote the standard. I didn't. It's been around long before me and it'll be around long after me.
Maybe one day you could do like an intermediate course on sultry dark photos because I have seen you do that, and it
I
incorporates
have. It's
light
not my
and
favorite thing to do, especially you'll see royal icing cookies and that's what sugar cookie marketing is about, is all about those fun punchy colors, those bright backgrounds. So we never really get to the sultry of it because we're always making fun themes, bright themes, wedding themes, and you always think brighter, whiter is a little bit better. But if you are a drop cookie baker, if
I
you
knew
are
you
a
were gonna say
cinnamon
drop
roll
cookie muffin
person,
sourdough.
yeah, you can really honestly paint a really sultry photo that stands out on social media.
I
Cake
agree.
people, you like do the, rest in peace to my 30s. That can be a dark sultry photo that can make you more sales. And
Valentine's Day,
yeah, it comes
Halloween.
to nailing the foundation and then figuring out the style that you want to go with. I know people have said, I always know it's a Corey photo before I even see who posted it. And that's because I have, my style isn't like, oh my gosh, where did she get that backdrop? No, mine is replicable. You could absolutely do it, but you see it over and over and over again that people say, I knew that was your photo before I even, because I've grown to like my photos, and I like how I've tested them against my audience. My audience responds well to the photos I've taken. So I've been able to really hone in on that and make some sales from it.
I'm dogging on people right now. Folks, bakers who steal photos, which you're not allowed to, right? If you don't have explicit permission to own a photo, you can't use somebody else's. The biggest tell that somebody steals photos is a lack of cohesiveness in their product images. I can say that's not you because your staging is so wildly different and blah, blah, blah. Because like this one staged a certain way, almost it becomes a watermark of sorts, your photo style.
I see a lot of bakers now using AI images. Like maybe they're like, they had an idea, they didn't want to bake it. So they've made AI make the image. But if you scroll back through their posts, they have it contradicts each other, their
Mhm.
contrast. And what we really want to do is when our clients show up to pick up what they ordered, we really want them to be like, wow, this is exactly what I thought I was going to get. These look exactly like they did in the photo. I am wowed. I am not disappointed. If you find that you are not getting a lot of return customers, it's something along the lines of what you're doing. Whether you're portraying your cookies and AI makes them a perfect circle. I have not ever been able to bake a perfect circle. I'm always having to do the edges with a grater to make them perfect circles. But AI doesn't know that maybe circles spread a little bit, and
Mhm.
you're portraying something that has perfect, no issues, no lines, but it looks different when the customer picks it up. They might say, wow, these are great. And you might never hear from them again. And you don't know because you're not looking introspectively. How did I lose this person as a reoccurring client?
I know some of you guys are like, well, you guys gave the freebie photos into Cookie College. You're part of the problem. But here's what I want to tell you. When we give those photos, I tell people if you can't replicate this within 90% of what the photo includes, don't use it. You're going to cost yourself sales and you're going to leave yourself wide open to bad reviews. If you're able to replicate this photo within 90%, this is a great way to save time and effort as a pre-sale image before you have to order the cutters. So again, you got to kind of keep them all aligned. If you're not there yet and that photo is there, you still got to work on it before you can use that photo to, streamline or the ordering process.
Right.
Then you have backgrounds. Your home probably isn't picture ready. Backdrops is what Corey's talking about. There are white boxes. They are the bane of my existence. I bought one. You buy this little cheap thing on Amazon or you make your own. It's just hard to replicate natural light. Can you? Yes. But then you're constricted by space because it's in a box. So then you get a bigger white box, but now it's taking up your whole house. They're always so frustrating. I just hate
Yeah.
them.
I want to say replica surfaces. I'm not a big believer in white boxes just for the reasons Heather said. They're tiny and then you see the corners, then you get a bigger one and now it's the size of your house. Replica surfaces has this device thing and it's almost like a portable backdrop stand and you can wheel it around your house. It's got four wheels. You can reel it towards the better lighting in your house.
Didn't she stop selling those?
No, she still does actually
Oh,
sell
good,
them
oh, good, oh,
online.
good.
She must have restarted. I know that I get a lot of pushback from bakers. I live in a dark place. The sun never shines. I
Okay,
live
Alaska.
yeah, I live in a center townhome, so I only have lighting on the front of the house and the back of the house. I'm constantly chasing it too, but I'm willing to go to it so I can get better photos. You can have your excuses. Oh, I live in a condo. My kids are out there playing. I don't want to interrupt them. Or you can have better photos. It's whatever you want, but you're going to have one or the other.
Yeah, it's inconvenient. I'm gonna validate everyone. Camera setup, staging setup, finding that perfect light. It's rainy, the kids, people are running in. It's hard to do it. It's just so frustrating. However, it is an integral part of the sales process. So if you can start clearing out a corner of your house and have a dedicated space there, nobody's allowed to touch it. I would say it's worth the investment. I understand it is a massive struggle.
I know. I know IKEA, Heather gave me this table once. It was a short table. It was an inexpensive table, but it was a white table and it fits a little backer on it perfectly. That's something you could keep in the corner, bring out when you need a photo. You can create a stage, just create a photo setup for the first quarter of the year. We know we got Valentine's Day. We know we have St. Patrick's, and then you change it as you go through the year, but you kind of set it and forget it. And that works with a lot of people who have time constraints. I don't have this, I have space constraints, so I can't leave one out because people would be like, what is that? It would take up my living room. So I have it, well stored to the side by my couch so it's grabbable. So my excuses aren't there. Well, it's all the way downstairs. No, it's literally right there. It's in the corner.
Yeah, I like that. Bake in the
Yeah.
easiness of it. As easy as you can get it, have it there. And if that, I do think that requires a lot of decluttering to claw back some space where you can leave something that has to be not touched.
Yeah.
But you can do it, and I think it's worth it.
I think it's worth it if you are like, I really want to make more sales and I really want to support my family in this avenue. Wouldn't you want to do everything you can within your power to do that? So
You
it
know
might
what?
not be a,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
Sorry, everyone's listening. There's a lag in Zoom, such as life, but it's impressive how Zoom works. Now that I understand that it is taking two lags and still forcing us to be able to hear each other. When you guys are building out your cookie rooms, factor this in. When you guys have that, like, hey guys, bless your life that you're able to build out a room dedicated to your business, but build in a place, a space to have a dedicated area to take photos.
Yeah.
I mean, how cool if you could leave if you do use a 3-point lighting system or some manufacturer bounce board, if you could just leave that set up and just come and go, oh, your photography is just going to be so nice.
I know my cookie room isn't conducive for photos most of the time. I actually go down to my front door. My neighbors think I'm insane. They know what I'm doing. They've bought cookies from me, thank goodness.
Free advertising.
Um, free advertising. So I take a little field trip with them, and I love being like a person that has to take it down like a server all the way down the stairs. I've had many a close call of almost falling, but I do it for the photo. I do it for the plot, as the kids say, because I want to make more money, and I put a lot of time into decorating these cookies, and I'm okay with people taking them and eating them if I can have this one photo that I can use from now for years on.
Yeah. It's always interesting to see like the cookie world. Now we've been in it for like 5 or 6 years, the like ebbs and flows of the opinions. For a while when we first got started, the opinion was that you should never take photos of the customer's cookies. You should make an extra set to take photos of so you didn't have to handle the customer's cookies. I'm glad that that little mantra has been buried. Do you imagine making 2 dozen, but just one you keep to take photos of and throw away?
That's a lot of work. That's like a whole extra 4 hours.
That's a tremendous cost. But anyways, staging is your point for. Staging can take a photo from blot as something worth stopping for and maybe even leaving a reaction or better case, a sale. Now I had to record Corey, so I had to take the boot camp. Student one, recruit one, right here.
Thank you.
And Corey said, you did the PowerPoint walkthrough, and then we went to building the pyramid, and I like that because it's pretty simple. I think when we're like stage it, that's so ambiguous, it becomes overwhelming. Stage it,
Yeah.
how? And I think you use an example what it's like when someone's just like, I bought the stuff and I put it on the plate. Why isn't it working? Like it's not working because there's no strategy behind the stuff you bought. So I think what you do is you start with the backer, you laid out the tea towels, you got a baking mat or a baking sheet or a baking grate, whatever you call those things. What am I saying? That thing with that you can see through and it's made of metal and you put your
Oh, a
cookies on it.
baking tray.
Tray. And then on top of that, you put the plate and then you put the cookies. So you can see that each layer is smaller, but it builds on top of the other, creating a visual pyramid. And then once the pyramid is built, then you add the props, but those are crop outable.
Yes. Croppable and proppable. I know when someone's like, stage it, what do those words mean?
Yeah.
And that's in the boot camp, we take it down and we dissect it into a more easy to digest way. So it doesn't just feel like, all right, now you did the foundational pieces, now go on your own. You're staging, everyone's staging. If you've cleared out the backdrop and you put your cookies on a white backdrop, congratulations, you've staged. If you've gone and found good lighting in your home, congratulations, you're a stager. There's so many different aspects to staging that you can make work for your business. You might like just the flat lay photo of the cookies lined up with the space in between them that's just a finger length apart. Congratulations, you're a stager. You have found staging that you like. I know that when I offer a dozen cookies, I do 6 designs, 2 of each designs. I use a plate because I really like how it makes the cookies stand up, and 1 of each design will be on the plate, and the excess cookies are now my props. And that's the way I do it. And you can see the edge of them. Not every cookie needs to end up in the photo. So we go over, what should end up in the photo, what shouldn't end up in the photo. Props are fun. Props can create a feeling. So when I'm doing back our teacher appreciation, I like a lot of wood grains because it really feels like I'm back in school. I'm sitting at
Rulers,
a wooden
desk,
desk.
pencils, the wooden
Yes, things like
things.
that. You have that the red color that goes with the apple. And while we're staring at our cookies, we know the color palettes that we're working with. So if I'm doing a light pastel set for Easter, I'm probably not going to do a black, backdrop because it contrasts. It takes away from the end unit. But this is a fun part. You've done the hard work of making and baking the cookies, and now we get to showcase them, and that hard work is going to make you cash money. That's the fun part. I love taking a photo of an order. I love making the sale. I hate baking the sale. Making the sale, high of all highs. Baking the sale, low of all lows. But the photography lets me make and bake more because it's attracting people to my business.
I liked it in the PowerPoint for the boot camp. You had a picture of a bunch of flower cookies you decorated, right? And you have one image and it's showing every flower is in the image, right? And Corey's like, because everything's in the image, nothing's truly in the image. We don't know where to focus. And then the other one, she's like, but I took this photo and I cropped out a large majority of the flowers that she baked that are for sale. But these three in the front here are fully in the image and your eyes go right to them. And that's because the crop put our focus back on the cookies instead of the overwhelm, like, where's Waldo? Where's Waldo? Where's the sale?
Yeah.
There's so much in this. There's so much going on. I don't know what Corey said. The biggest question you can ask yourself is if I look at this photo right now, what does it sell? And if the word isn't cookies, go back to the drawing board. Start taking stuff away. It's getting too complicated. And I think with staging, we're here like, buy the plates, buy the details, buy the beads. I tried everything and nothing's working. And I think it's because of that over complexity. You can take it back down. And that flower example is a great one to just cookies on a backer. That's all it was. And she was able to still use the cookies as the supportive props that draw our focus back to those three cookies that were the ones we were selling.
Yeah. So in the boot camp, I go over my go-to props that would be easy to start with. People get overwhelmed and that's why they quit. That's why the photo part is the worst part of the whole thing. And it's going back to the basics, back to things like just using a cutting board, just using a baking sheet, just using a plate. Those are all things. Those are props. They can actually make your photos look a ton better. Even there's only one thing that you're using. When you get comfortable with adding that first thing, you're going to be like, I kind of like my photos. I think I can add something like a tea towel that kind of has the same color palette. And you'll see that you start building a scene for your audience. I don't have a prop for every single set I do. I promise you I don't. I did a s'more set. It's more fun to be one. And I happen to have a Hershey bar that I got for my son's birthday that I said, do you mind if I take this back and use it for a photo? But if I did not have that, using just a wooden cutting board and a plate still brings the fact and the colors in, and you're like, wow, I see that's a more fun to be one set. That's kind of nice. It's staged well, the lighting's good, and it stops your scroll.
I think some bakers could be like, s'more fun to be one, s'mores. Okay, let me build s'mores around the s'more cookie. But I'm like, are we selling s'mores or are we selling
Right.
that pun on the cookie, right?
And it's always asking yourself, if I look at this photo, what am I buying? Am I buying a s'more kit from you? Probably not. Am I buying s'more cookies that are themed out for a first birthday? Probably. And when you answer that question every time, you're going to know what your photos are going to sell. And that's what it is. Your
I think
photos do.
back to
Sorry,
that
go
one,
ahead.
just to add the point. Sometimes a baker's like, well, I think this is selling the s'mores cookie. That's why I staged it this way. Ask a stranger, ask your husband, ask your wife, ask your grandmother, post it in the sugar cookie marketing group saying, guys, what is the focal point of this photography? And if
Yeah.
all those people are like, hey, it's kind of distracting, what they're going to do if you ask that in the sugar cookie marketing group, which you're absolutely allowed to do, someone's going to crop the image for you and be like, if you crop it like this, my eyes go more towards that. So feel free to use that group as a sounding board. If you feel like there's something about this image, I kind of like it, but I kind of don't, I
Yeah.
would go there.
Yeah, and then the last part of it is the editing. And that's where the magic does happen. And we cover how to edit, and I'm not in Lightroom touching every single button in there to make my photo look good.
I actually turned yours into a step process, and I think we only got to 6 steps, and that was
Yeah, I
me
know.
pushing one into two.
Yeah, there's not a lot of steps I do because we fed the phone and the camera lens something good to work with. I don't have to spend hours in Lightroom trying to make it the whole process, especially when time is not on my side. the photos don't take me a ton of time. I grab the backer, I grab a plate, throw the cookies on there, take the photo, take it into Lightroom, click 3, 4, 5, 6 at the most, and I got a good photo for social media. The editing is that separates the men from the boys. When I see a dark photo on someone's thing, I'm like, they forgot the last step there. But the editing, and I show you the free version of Lightroom. It's not even the paid version. Like we're even like outside of those excuses, like another subscription. Nah, no, it's got premium features in there, and I don't even click them. I don't even use them myself. And because we have a good foundation, good lighting, good backdrop, good setup, good staging, it's so easy in Lightroom just to make it a little bit brighter, make it a little bit scroll stopping, make sure the colors are what the colors are. There's not a green cookie in there, that it looks white and true to color. Then you're working with sauce, man. You are going to make sales. You are. And I've seen so many bakers over the years who have taken the steps that I've given them, and they've been like, wow, I'm actually super proud of this. And the photography has turned to my favorite part of the whole thing.
I think once it clicks, you feel it. I think some people are like, it's not clicking for me yet. We're close. You're on the
Yeah.
right path. Keep going. Take this boot camp, which is a point five. The boot camp will drop on May. Yeah, I've been typing out the word May in the countdown. March.
Darn it.
March. Where did the first 2 months go? Usually I complain about those being long. They were way too short.
Go on, girl.
Short.
Go on.
Go to thecookiecollege.com. You can enroll for that boot camp. The course will drop on the 5th and the 6th. It's a 2-day boot camp. 2 modules. Corey and I will do a Facebook Live intro on Thursday, and then we'll do a live Q&A on Friday afternoon. So you guys get to hear these lovely voices 2 more times this week for $13. But when you sign up, you can also access the Cookie College and get $13 off. It gets you your money back. But the cool thing is that $13 off counts for every renewal as long as your membership is active.
So you get the Cookie College at a stark discount. And if you're like, I really liked the photography course, and I missed the in-person one, and I would like to, you can catch it all in the Cookie College. So when you get that subscription, you can go back and find the in-person cookie class, take that one as well.
Yeah, I'm going to pull up my worksheets you made me make. Oh, I gotta open it up as the owner because I actually give you guys the worksheets I make as Canva templates so you can reuse them because I want you to be able to. But I was really happy with how these came out. Let me open my projects. And here is what we've got. We do a lighting analysis, just kind of be a visual representation of why that diffused indirect light, diffused using a window to diffuse it versus walking directly into the sun and saying, whoa, those shadows are harsh. Then we go through a photography checklist, kind of what I would start with, Corey would start with if it's set up prop staging and post-processing, the approach there. Reverse calendarizing. So reverse calendarizing is where you start from the due date of the order and work it backwards. A lot of times I see people, their excuses, I didn't take good photos because I ran out of time. By the time I was ready to take the photos, it was dark outside and the order was picked up the next morning. So in this one, you say, here's the order pickup date. So if that has to be the pickup date, where are the 2 times I can hit golden hour preceding this date? And that means that order has to be ready by not the due date, but rather by the photography date, because that's where we get those photos that sell more. Then we also do a visual representation of the pyramid Corey talks about. I think that helps because I think saying pyramid is kind of confusing. But when you see that it's a very, very short pyramid, a very, very stout pyramid, you can kind of get that. And then we end up with kind of the photo room configuration to kind of consider when you're building out that room, what the shadows, where they're coming from, how harsh they'll be, and what you're going to look for when you run from the kitchen, overhead lights screaming. And then last up, post-processing process, that's Corey. And we did get to only 5 steps.
Nice.
And it was built off of a cute little video that you gave me, which is now in the bootcamp. So if you guys want to sign up for the bootcamp, you can at thecookiecollege.com. And next month's bootcamp will be everything about pre-sales. And then we're doing one on 3D printing following that. So each bootcamp is each month. They last between 2 and 3 days, depending on the content. And once you join, you get into this Facebook group, which I got to get people into today.
Yeah. Nice. Excited about it. It'll be a great foundational one. It'll be one that works for you for years to come. Your photography is going to be the basis of your business. And if you're like, I really like my photos, that's going to be a job well done on my part.
And I think you can. I think you can truly fall in love with something that right now you're kind of stuck on.
Yeah.
And having Corey, she gives you a 65 slide deck PowerPoint. Then we
65.
walk through it together. And then the next one, she creates the pyramid, the shallow staging, why she picked this, why she didn't pick this. And then the final module, she opens her phone and edits the photos from there. But the boot camps are more than just that. It is this Facebook group where we ask questions, take polls, have discussion topics. We have before and after photos. You've been posting, I see, Corey. Thank you. So it is worth $13. We want to make sure it is worth so much more than $13 that you do want to sign up for the Cookie College and join us for all the future boot camps.
Yeah, imagine if you bought the boot camp for $13 and you made the next set was a $50 sale because your photos were good. I will have paid for myself and then some. So
And then you say, I want more of that, twins. Where do I go? And we say, come on, baby girl, I got you. I got you. Also, if you join the Cookie College, you get more than just the boot camps. You get the content that was already there, but you also get the content of our other memberships, which Corey has just dropped the cutest Irish icings class. We're not teaching St. Patrick's classes, but it makes me wish we were.
it's cutie patootie.
We're not teaching them locally. We're skipping over to Easter or something. However, these are intermediate classes, which means more icing colors and more icing bag cuts, not consistency. Bag cut flows.
Yeah, there's 5 colors versus 4 colors, and there's an outline bag and a flooding bag. And the outline bag outlines it, but also adds the details like the little nose on our little leprechaun and, the details on the clover and things like that.
Yeah, I wanted to name him Sean the Leprechaun, but I ran out of PowerPoint space, so I just called him the Leprechaun. But it was Sean in my head. But yeah, the people said thank you so much for the 40 beginner classes. We want intermediate options, and that's what we've been doing in 2026. And the digital downloads kits have gone through their rebirth last year, and we're continuing on with that. You get 7 printable files, and last month's, because now it's a new month. February's was some sweet treats for my peeps, and I made some chonky, as my 3D printing friend said. He said you made very chonky peeps, and I did a set of 3. I think they're very cute, and they use some similar colors but more punchy, so a little spin on it. And you get the cookie tag front and back, you get a cookie backer, you get the STL file that matches, you get the print image if you want to eddy print it, you get the transfer sheet, and you get a social media post, and I feel like there's something missing, but you get all that.
Great. I don't actually sell a ton of like mini cookies with the cookie card or cookie tag, but I did for St. Patrick's Day, and I sold more of those than I thought. I thought they'd be like a lost leader, like no one would order them. They're priced at $3. You get a mini cookie and a cookie card.
That's what sold the best.
People ordered them. I think it was short enough that you could give them to all your kids, something to hand out on, for their lunchbox.
Very nice. Very nice. Corey's a pre-sale queen now that she's done the pre-sale test run for the boot camp. She said, I have tasted of my own nectar. I am here for the pre-sales.
I just know consistency, first to market, ease of access, and the photos really honestly is what carries me.
But pre-sales are great because it gives you more control over order. What people get, what you want to make.
A lot more money in one day using a pre-sale, and you have a full control over everything. So if you wanted to do easier sets, and in the Valentine's Day one, I went with pastel colors and made it easier on myself and sold out. So that was great.
I feel like sometimes bakers are like, I'm really burnt out because what the clients are ordering is not necessarily what I want to make. Being able to incorporate and grow, because it's a different avenue, pre-sales allows you to kind of build in that anti-burnout because you get to bake what you want.
Yeah. Yeah, I see people burn out from customs, and then they'll be like, look for pop-ups and pre-sales. Like that's their natural ebb and flow. That's where they go. And then, as always, they get the custom bug and they come on back.
Hey, Christmas will do that to you. That Christmas money will make you okay with a lot of stuff. Okay, moving on to our gossip column. This one's a bit longer. You guys can submit your gossip column. It should be pinned up. I'll post a reminder in the group if you guys want to. So it says, let's get ready to crumble. Funny. I like that play on words. A friend of my son's father was getting married, and I was approached by the woman that was paying for the cake. I know the groom for years through my son's father. I hang out with them when they go camping. Because of that, I only charge the cost of the cake, which is just under $500. I let the friend of the bride know that she can pay in 2 installments, and she agreed. Needless to say, she missed the first installment. No problem. I'll get the full payment at the wedding. I made the cake, delivered it, set it up, attended the wedding. The friend of the bride approached me to ask for my Venmo info so her husband can pay me. I gave her the info, but I only received half of the the payment. I go to find her at the wedding to let her know that I only received half the payment. She tells me that she thought it was strange when her husband asked to get my Venmo if he'd already paid the first installment. She'd let him know to pay the other half. Things got busy at the wedding and I forgot to check in with her about the payment. When I left the wedding, I knew it would be a problem to get the other half because it was no longer in front of them and the cake had been consumed. So for 2 weeks, there was back and forth about me getting paid. She kept saying her husband would pay me and no money ever came through. Finally, I called my son. I told him what was going on and I asked about the couple. Like, do they pay their bills? He tells me he's surprised that they would volunteer to pay since they had just lost a portion of their house due to a house fire and said they had no money. Plus, they hadn't been around lately and they were a little sketchy now. He said he was going to call his dad so he could make them pay. I told him to hold off. Let me see if I could still get paid on my own. I was really not trying to cause any trouble between friends. I just wanted my money. As soon as we hung up, my son called his dad, who then calls the groom, who told him what was going on. The groom said he'll pay me if they didn't. Finally, those heathens paid me by Venmo and the husband left a message with his payment that said, thanks for throwing me under the bus. I was going to pay you the money. A lesson learned seriously from the situation. If I ever see those two at a functions, I hear one walk away with a sideways remark, punching emoji. That's a rough one. I love this kind of gossip though. This is a rough one because it's a friend of a friend. It's like a friend you know, but it's a friend that's a proxy friend, so you can't be rude. You can't be like, come on, what are you doing? You can't
Now a
pay
friend,
me money.
dare I say.
Yeah, now you're burning the bridge. And that's always like the referral friend is like, oh no, my name's on the line, but they're mad, but they won't pay. And then you have that like dirty little thing, I was gonna pay you. No, if you were gonna pay, you woulda. If you were going to, you would. If he wanted to, he would. He did not. And then you add that last little thing in. Instead of, hey, I'm so sorry, you say, thanks for throwing me to the bus.
Yeah.
Punch emoji. I'm going to add a punch emoji to this one.
There you go. 2 punch. Add one for me too. While you're at
3 punch emojis. She already had 2. So we're at 4 punch emojis.
That's
On a scale of 1 to 5 punch emojis, where are you at? Have you ever had an issue like this? Chasing payment. I'm so sorry. It always reminds me of the Adele song. Should I give up or should I just keep chasing pavement? But it's like, should I just keep chasing payment? Like, when do you call it?
Hilarious. Have I ever had someone not pay? No. Have I chased payment? Yes, a little bit. What I want to do is make sure I get their payment before I start baking. Pre-sales has taught me that you're chasing just a little bit more than I thought you would. Like, all right, send you the confirmation, sent you the payment. And that's why collecting payment at time of booking is so much easier than chasing it after the fact.
Then you have like Virginia has a weird cottage law where they want you to handle the transaction in person. It's like an archaic law that makes no sense. They're trying to change it. But so when you want to abide by cottage laws, you're setting yourself up for failure. Someone in the college had asked last night that they were doing this big, like it might have been a government event, but it was definitely a corporate event and the order was over $1,000 and it was recurring. So she was like, yep. Pay at time of order. And they said, hey, can we break it into 2 payments? So she said, because the order was so large, she was willing to. They said, okay, we'll pay a deposit and then we'll pay at time of delivery. And she was she's like, I can risk it for the biscuit, but that's just cutting it too close. So she wanted to reword it. Can you pay a deposit and then pay the rest 1 month out before she starts baking, which I thought was a good compromise, especially when you're talking about orders in the thousands of dollars. But again, you run that risk. I
run that risk. I know we've talked about Neiman Marcus on here before, and the man is a gem. Hard to get him to pay. He always pays, but eventually, like, do I sacrifice this order? So you see where your boundaries are always malleable and you're always like, do I bend them?
But you got to get paid. And then that can really sour the experience. Like this baker right here in the gossip column, this anonymous get ready to crumble baker. Like that's frustrating. And now she's going to, 1, not look at the friend the same, but 2, she's going to be like, well, now I'm not going to cut the next person who would have paid that, will pay at the wedding. I'm not going to cut them that because somebody else took advantage of it.
Yes. Yeah.
You like that. Thank you for the gossip column. Corey will take us through upcoming events countdown.
Hold on. I've got to find.
Oh, so sorry. I forgot you're working from a phone.
I know I am.
Okay. While she scrolls, I will read. We have our March AI Cookie Collab that's coming up in 2 weeks. You can still register for the reminders. Corey is going to be working on getting me that image to show you kind of what she's going to do for it. It doesn't require a selfie this time. You're going to take that AI generated image and you're going to knock it up against what you're able to recreate. And that's how we're going to use AI as a tool instead of a big scary thing we don't know about. In April, we're doing a Pipe a Park Cookie Collab, leaning into the spring here. I'm excited for the warm weather as as it drizzles snow outside. And I'll have more information on that next week. Are you there?
I am on the collab and I'm at events.
Okay, go ahead. Take it away.
For events, we have What's Popping Con, and that is April 16th. Me and Heather, yours truly, will be there. Cookie Con, June 24th. Me and Heather will not be there. Vendy Blendy, November 27th. Me and Heather, unfortunately, will be there.
I'm not at the vending machine. There's a version of me that only reveals itself pre and post Vendy Blendy in that day. That's the version of me that'll be there.
Thank goodness, 38 weeks away.
I
Not even
think
on my
Cookie
radar.
Con, I know, I'm not even thinking about it. I think Cookie Con's add-on classes go on sale tomorrow, Wednesday.
Oh, good to know. Good to know.
Yeah.
And if you wanted to learn a little bit more about CookieCon, Heather Campbell Brookshire did a live. You can catch it for the next, I want to say maybe 25 days. It expires in 30 days. You can
She's
find that in the, huh?
she sent me, I got to upload it to YouTube so it forever
Nice.
archives.
You can find it in the Sugar Cookie Marketing Group, and she is a CookieCon pro, so she can tell you all about what to expect. It is confusing when you hear add-ons, core classes. What does it all mean? Can I shop till I drop? What does the tickets cover? And she goes over that. I tuned into her live, and she really breaks it down for you.
I like that. Also, tomorrow on Wednesday, the add-on classes for ticket holders go on sale. For non-ticket holders, it goes on sale later date. Also confusing.
Interesting. Did not know. Holidays that are coming up. We have St. Patrick's Day is March 17th. That is fast approaching. April Fool's Day is April 1st. No jokes there. Easter is sooner than it was, April 5th this year. Teacher Appreciation Week, big for me. I love this one, is May 4th. Nurse Appreciation Week is also shared, and that typically starts May 6th. And then you have Mother's Day right after May 10th.
That'd be a nice little lineup there now that Easter's so early into April, that leaves all of April with like oasis, like
Sunny.
desert,
Yeah.
like nothing's there. And then we get the little oasis of teacher, nurse, and Mother's Day within a week of each other.
And then you have like grad orders coming in, like all the
Yeah.
graduation orders coming in during that month.
So I always feel like Q1's like and like, we got Valentine's Day, but like January, March, Then we have the beginning of Q2. So then we have like, April, May, June grad orders. Then we get the J months again, which are like, but then August kicks it off. And then we get our Super Bowl months, which are the last 4 months of the year, starting in September, but definitely October, November, and
It's
December.
a blur every year. I never remember. I'm always busy baking.
I like to talk to Corey, and I like to go to Seasons 52 and talk to the wait staff, and they're like, "Oh, we don't celebrate Thanksgiving on Thanksgiving Day because we work, but we like do it another day." But bakers, they like don't celebrate Christmas on the day; they celebrate like 2 months out because that's when it starts. It's always like shifts the calendar over. But interesting stuff that's coming up. Okay, every month I say the best-selling bakes threads in the Sugar Cookie Marketing
Yeah.
Group. So it's the Easter one that, hundreds and hundreds of comments, but the April Fool's Day one comment that understood the assignment. So April, I should take that off the calendar countdown because it's just not a big baking day.
It's not a baking day. I don't see anyone has ever ordered from April Fools for me. It's a great posting content day. So if you like did brownies or the cake pop that's a Brussels sprout, that's funny and that's content. The deviled eggs, I know people try to do it all the time.
I tried to talk Corey to make it a vegetable tray, but it's all
That's a
cookies.
fun one. That is a fun one. So that would be a good one.
But yeah, I don't think I try to only keep these with like days that like matter to the baking industry, like
Yeah.
big sales days. Otherwise, it'd be like
April
everyone's like,
1st, right on off there.
goodbye is your last year with this April 1st. STL me about it segment. So if you text into 571-556-5644, you can win a month of Cookie Design Lab. And I know two of you have claimed it. I got to get to you. Sorry. Been working on the boot camp, but I'll definitely get to you. If you guys claim it within the 7 days and I don't respond within the 7 days, you still get it. It's my problem, not yours, but you claimed it. So you still get it. But Corey, I have three.
Okay, I'm going to choose one.
This is 617 from Boston. So Boston, you are the winner. We must have been bored in your endless snowstorm. So if you email me at heather@sugarcookiemarketing.com with the rest of your phone number, I'll connect you with Amalia, who is with Cookie Design Lab. They said, I'm trying to launch my first cookie class after taking the boot camp about classes. Do you think Easter or Mother's Day is a better bet for filling seats? I have my opinion.
Let's hear it.
I have my opinion because we're teaching an Easter class and we have sold out of the Easter class. I believe the Easter class is that Corey and I did do a Mother's Day class. It's actually in the class kits and we taught that in person. That was a hard sell. We thought it would be a mommy and me type thing and it didn't. We actually had to sell tickets to our own mommy. She came.
Just like Mother's Day sales, oftentimes the person that is buying the cookies is typically the mom. So making a pre-sale that's Mother's Day specific is a lot harder because the men in their woman's life aren't always buying the cookies. Mother's Day classes, you would think a little bit easier because, a mom could bring her mom and they could decorate together. By far, though, Easter is the number one beater out of those two.
Beater
Just
outer.
because beater outer, you can quote me on that, is because it's so pushed by so many brands and things. They're getting pummeled by Walmart, Target, everything like that. So Easter is just an easier one to do. A lot of people are coming into town for Easter. Mother's Day, a little bit harder to work with.
Yeah, Corey and I have found that at least. That Mother's Day class we did teach at a new location. It was a partnership with AR Workshop, I think.
It was.
Maybe we should have kept all things the same before we added a hyper
It was a
specific
cute set.
class.
It was a mason jar flower
Oh,
set. I thought it
yeah.
was
We
adorable.
didn't teach the Cookie Class Kids Mother's Day set. We taught
Did
that
not.
mason jar, but it was to mom, was what the cookie tag said.
It did, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, no, we are teaching an Easter class. We're teaching one of the beginner classes because I prefer to teach those. I can teach them in an hour and a half, and that is almost sold out. I actually published it in the boot camp that they're talking about as my example class.
Yeah,
And
nice.
I
Yeah,
didn't
nice.
delete it in time, and people signed up for it. Another question, I thought this one was interesting. Fire round a question for the twins about being twins. I've always wondered these things, and I figured the best place to ask was at the source. Okay, then there's a couple questions here. Who is older and by how much? I am older. The Corey and I allege that my mom had no clue who was who, so who's to know? And it was C-section, so we think by like, here's your first kid and here's your second kid. Like
Yeah,
that was.
we don't know. It was a race to the bottom,
I
race
feel
out of
older and
the
wiser, so I do think. My mom said I had a lot of hair and I was fatter, so that's how they told us apart.
Yeah,
Thanks.
that's how they sold it.
Just a little complex. I'll carry with me for the rest of my life. Who started dating first? Corey did.
I
You were
did.
Corey's a lot more popular in kindergarten than I was. I don't know why. She was voted queen or leader of the girls club, and I was like, "Can I be like the secretary?" Like we're the same person.
I don't
But
know. I had all the girls dance around the mud puddle and say, "Boys are in the mud
I
puddle."
really have that chant is in my head sometimes. Boys are in the mud puddle. Boys are. We would just skip around this
As the
weird.
ruler, you have to do some camaraderie building
I was
activity.
gonna march to my death. Boys are in that mud puddle, and you know what? At 37, they're still in the mud puddle.
Boys are
Uh,
still in the mud puddle.
is one of you taller than the other? I don't think so.
I think Heather has some hair height on me. Hair
That's
height.
but that's I gave Corey my old Dyson and she's getting the hair height. Now I'm gonna give her
I
some
got more
product.
than I normally do.
This was a fun just to get this is a lot of heat and a lot of prod.
I think I need a haircut. Look how long this is. So it's very heavy
Go to my
hair.
girl, dude. Go to my
I know.
girl.
I know. You say she's a talker. I have to get my mindset ready to be talked to.
Would you get the haircut of your dreams? Our little sister, hair cuttery, if you guys don't have them, they're actually based out of here. They're like the McDonald's of haircut places.
Yeah.
Everyone in our area has gone to a hair cuttery or a Bubbles, which are owned by the same company. It was a couple, they got divorced, but you gotta love like the chain vibe of just a quick haircut. Hair cuttery was 20 bucks and that was it. And
And,
they
and they're gonna upsell you on some bottle of something.
that's really where they make their money. But anyways, I say if you go to hair cuttery for a trim, but you go to a salon for a style. Our little sister refused to listen, went to hair cuttery for a style, and now she says she has the mom bob, but she's not a mom. It was very cute though.
See,
But she was in
it
a
was cute. They chopped probably 5 inches off her
yeah,
hair.
she was upset.
She was upset.
Yeah. So no, I don't believe one is taller than the other. I was going to sign up for Costco. Costco. People who have Costco, can you text into the podcast and tell me good idea, bad idea? Executive member, worth the money, not worth the money. I don't want to get their credit card. Okay. But Corey's like, I'll go halvesies at Costco. But we don't live together. But I was like, but you look like me. So you could really be a stunt double. So little benefit of being a twin. Costco. Do you guys write with the same hand?
Right.
Yeah, I do. My right hand. My left hand is incapable of functioning at all for
What's
anything.
funny is my son left-handed.
Our dad, ambidextrous, but kind of eats with his left hand, writes with his right or something.
Yeah.
Same hand here. Okay, do you guys part your hair the same? Yes.
Heather's just parted higher, bigger,
And I
closer
know
together.
the word is made up, but my mom calls it pletching. It's when you touch something with no point. I pletch with my hair a lot. I don't know why. I guess to keep the volume there. But I'm
Does
constantly,
pletching keep the volume?
Erin, my salon girl, she said I cut your hair so you could part it on either side because you always come in with it differently. I actually come in it with a mop on top of my head, but she makes me take it down.
I
Nothing
love it.
makes you question your will to live. Like when you look at yourself with that black tarp around you, where you're just a head and your hair
Yeah.
looks insanely stupid. I say, can you just turn me right around? I don't want to see myself.
Turn
I try not to
around,
make eye
baby,
contact with
right.
myself. Like, if
If
one gets
one,
injured, huh?
I'm reading it
Oh, go
too,
ahead.
together.
Together.
If
If
one
one gets.
gets injured, does the other one feel it?
We tested that last year with Corey's cancer diagnosis. No, didn't feel it.
Did you feel a little pang in your stomach?
Oh, oh. I think it was my greasy burger, but yeah, no, I've never been able to tell if Corey's on her or not. For some reason, me, I do a lot of crazier things, jumping out of planes, motorcycles,
No.
snowboarding, but Corey's the one who gets injured.
I know.
Fascinating.
I don't think Heather's been injured enough for me to even know if I've had a
I
pang or
know.
either.
I pinched my face
Maybe
the other
her
day.
heart's been broken and I felt that.
Oh, you have a heart murmur. And I do not feel I think one time you said you were really unlucky. But you were
Yeah,
also,
like
okay,
what's happening to me?
unlucky,
I didn't
the
even do
queen,
anything.
leader of the girls club. So how unlucky could you really be?
I know, really, honestly, with such a title.
Uh-huh. If can you read each other's minds? I mumble a lot. Ashley, my mom, my father,
Exclusively.
that's how I like to talk. Not talking at all, just kind of squeaking out some sounds. I said something to Corey on the weekend, and our older sister said that whatever that was, Corey understood it, but it wasn't a real word.
People say Heather mumbles. I can catch most everything she says, so I don't see it as mumbling. But when she talks to my dad has not been able to understand her in the last 12 years. So he just kind of looks at her and like shakes his head, hoping that said an
I
ending of a
try.
sentence.
I try when he does that, like, oh, I try to restate what I said in a different way and maybe drop an octave a bit. My older sister, Ashley, is very annoyed with how I talk.
She
And
is.
I can see it. She reaches a breaking point every time we have a conversation. And she's like, I just don't know what you said. But she thinks I have this hidden extra voice that I withhold from people. And like, it's very clear and loud. But I was like, no, I
Where
hurt
does
my
she
throat
think
a
you
little
use
bit.
this extra voice at?
Apparently, anywhere she's not. My super
For
extra
whatever
voice.
reason, my voice projects more than Heather's and it's lower than Heather's. And apparently, because it projects, while I do mumble, I get the point across. And that's probably why I was elected leader of the girls' club.
I think because you had Archer. Like, okay, you and
Yeah.
I used to record videos when we went on trips so I could remember things because I know I won't remember anything. But Archer was probably 7 or something. And you're like,
Arch,
Arch, Arch. And then
Arch,
finally you're like, Arch.
Arch. Yeah, he's a silent man now, but he was quite the rambunctious one going a mile a minute. You had to say his name with some depth and projection to get him to pay attention. Otherwise, he was running in the road.
I think that's why you were able to project. Sorry, I got blurry again. Come on, game. Come on, right back there. Um, oh, that was the end of the questions. I really like this.
Nice questions.
Last up, Orlando, you want to read?
Orlando, since I'm in the land of CookieCon, I was wondering if you think the add-on classes are worth it. I know we get the core classes and that sounds great, but the add-on classes go on sale on Wednesday. Should I buy in? What happens if they sell out? So I've been to CookieCon once and I did take an add-on class and it was fantastic. It was I want to say her name is Jody, the flowered canvas, and we decorated these four ladies. The class took 4 hours, and you learned a lot of skills there. There's classes that are 8 hours. The class I was supposed to take, but we were core speakers, so I wasn't able to take it, was flowers on a toothpick tip. That would have been great
Hmm.
for me to know. I've never learned since, and I've missed the opportunity to know what it was in there. So if you are looking to up your decorating game in some form or fashion, those would be great classes to take. And they're from a lot of your favorite people you see online. if you were trying to learn something with fondant, modeling of stuff, moldable royal icing, how to paint eyes, hand painted, those are great classes and options that you can find there. If they are sold out, though, I think you people start reselling their tickets closer to CookieCon, and you could snag them that way. But once they're sold out, I do believe.
If you buy your CookieCon ticket, Heather Campbell Brookshire mentioned this in her Facebook Live. You can now join the CookieCon attendees group, and that's run by CookieCon. You can only join after you purchase the ticket because they match you up to an account. When you get in the CookieCon attendees group, if you miss out on the class that you want, turn notifications on for that group. As they get closer to the event in June, people will start hemorrhaging off their add-on classes as life changed, right? Because to buy an add-on class in March, you have no idea what life brings in June.
Sure.
So people will be like, well, I'm selling my ticket with my add-ons, but you can actually ask them to break that out and just sell you the add-on if you already got the ticket. If you're like, hey, I'm in Orlando and I could go if I would like it if I went, but I wouldn't care if I didn't, wait until right before CookieCon because somebody will sell off that ticket for half price.
Yeah.
You may not get the classes you want. If you miss out on the add-on classes that you wanted, you could possibly find it. What I find is that people closer to the event will say, hey guys, anybody selling this add-on class, I want it. So you get in front of that lot, when somebody's selling their ticket, you get in front of that and buy it out from somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Worth the thought. I think if you went to CookieCon and you didn't buy an add-on class, you'd still have a good time.
Yeah, because you still have access to the core classes. It's not as much hand-on instruction, which I kind of liked, baking something, making it, and taking a photo of it and be like, this is what I made. Some people ship it back to themselves. I think I donated mine to the Backers Co. They had a little setup there. So I said,
That's
you can
good.
use my cookies for your, to sell some more backers there.
Heather in her Facebook Live, I thought interesting thing she recommended was bringing an extra piece of luggage empty so that you
Yeah.
could fill it up because I do believe you end up with a lot more stuff. Corey and I drove, so it was easy to throw it in the back. But if you're flying, it might be worth to have an extra luggage because if you're packed to the hilt
The brand.
and then you go to CookieCon, you're not going to have space to bring that stuff back
I
easily.
know. I know. And you're going to find things that you want, things that are new to the market. They have tons of people in the vendor hall that are selling cookie cutters and supplies. And sometimes you can get them at a discount there and, save on shipping because you're there buying it in person.
Yes, not bad. Corey bought a airbrush.
Don't talk about it.
Correct.
Try to sell it.
Sponsors, I'm working on interviewing the sponsors. I know Amalia has volunteered for it, and so I'll get on there. I think Bacon Me Crazy has also volunteered, so I got to reach out to them. I think they'd be fun to have them on the podcast. Cookie Design Lab, use code TWINS to get 15% off or text into the podcast, and you might get it for free. Baking Me Crazy is code favorite twin for 10% off. Bakety Bake is code TWINS for 10% off. What's Popping Con is code TWINS for $25 off your ticket. And Bosch and Nutrimel is code Sugar Cookies for $20 off. Primera and Eddie has no code, but it is a very, very cool tool. I think they'll be at CookieCon. They've been at CookieCon every year. So if you want an upfront live demo, they have actual bakers teach the demo classes. So you just walk up to their booth and you can check it out there.
Yeah, pretty neat. Twinterest, do you have a Twinterest? There, Twinny.
As I've been moving my crapulely, I've also strategically been binging Hoarding Buried Alive. And I know I worked in property restoration for a time, and in property restoration, the best way to market to people was to teach their required continuing education classes. When I first started working with them, hoarding wasn't a protected mental illness, and then it became halfway through. So the terminology around it shifted, and the legal course you'd have to take greatly changed. Because before you could just evict somebody using those eviction laws, and then when it's protected mental illness, you couldn't. So it was very interesting to see how that shifted. However, in every single one of the Hoarding Buried Alives that I like to watch, I like to get the hour-long segment on YouTube. You can still watch them for free. It's fascinating to see how miserable people are with these things they can't let go.
I know.
And that is me. I'm not a hoarder, but that same pathology of I bought this thing, I never used it, but I can't let it go, but I'll never use it is so watching my own brain work.
It's because we fall in love with the person we could be with that thing if we did use it.
Right. So I had all this heat protectant. I don't know. I wanted volume heat protectant. I don't know, right? You go to Sephora, you go to literally Target, and you're reading the
Yeah.
stuff, and you buy the thing, and you're like, this will change my life. This behind this bottle lies the healthy hair I've always wanted. Then you take it home, you try it, and you're like, oh, I don't really love that. That wasn't really it for me. But because I only used it once, I can't get rid of it. But I
Yeah.
don't like it. So what I did, and I really had to take this big, deep, old breath, is I put them all and I brought them down to my cousins and my grandmother, and I said, have at. And you should have seen the inner turmoil when somebody's like, oh, this smells so good. I'm like, oh, wait,
Yeah.
this
I
mine.
want it back.
Yeah,
I
so
didn't
I
even know you liked the bars.
I did it with my Bath and Body Works candles. I did it with all the perfumes that I have. I took two of each that I wanted to keep. It was hard. And then
Oh,
I
the
did it with
Bath
some,
and Body Works
huh?
candles?
I did. Because I said, Heather, you're buying more and more, which feels great, but you're not possibly burning them fast enough.
Yeah.
And Jen took most of them. Dee took the one from the beach scent.
Oh, no
Then she
way.
took the beach body spray.
Were they all randomly burnt a little bit?
I'll say 30% burnt a little bit, 70% new. A lot of them were the flavor of leaves. I just loved it. But Ruth Ann took a leaf, her favorite smell as well, from the Bath and Body Works fall candle line, and she was stoked to use it right then. She put that bad boy up right now.
Question for you. Don't think you would have burnt that through them and then continue burning through the ones you hadn't burnt through? Like you just wanted to restart? Because I know you'll buy another Bath and Body Works candle.
Right, but I'm trying to do one in, one out.
And one out.
One in, one out. I think I have the mentality if I buy a lot of my favorite thing, but there's always newer things that come out that I like better. You and I always
We
go to Bath and Body Works and we always smell the
we
candles. But which one did we find the other day that you said this is a great scent? Was that
it
from that?
was suede
Yeah, yeah.
something. Yeah,
Hmm.
it was delectable. Me and Heather, anytime we go to the mall, we'll never buy them, but we go and smell every single candle. And then they have like a candle off where we have the two favorites go against each other. And Heather's like,
Hold
smell this
it,
one,
hold
this
it,
one,
hold it,
this one,
hold it.
this
This
one,
one,
this
that
one.
one, this one. And then we put them back and
And
leave, which is
then
weird.
we choose and we leave.
So, yeah, maybe that's actually the joy of the candle experience, the shopping for them. So I'm
Yeah.
like, well, if I like the shopping experience, I'll feel bad shopping for anymore if I have all these still at home. So if the joy, if I can assign where the joy is, and that's what they say in Hoarding Buried Alive is like, the joy comes from purchasing. If we can get the joy coming from purging, we can save this house, you know?
I did a charity with my old job, and the charity event was helping someone who is a hoarder declutter. And I've never worked with someone who is a certified declutterer, but I was able to sit in there and I watched her. She had the patience of a saint,
You'd
but
have to.
the homeowner had five of the same cups. And think, old time circus cups, they're plastic. They have the circus name on there, but it's been rubbed away because it's been washed so much. But she had five of the identical same one. And to see her thought process of why she needed to keep all five, you'd be like, that makes sense. Because what if one broke? What if her kids wanted one? What if she lost one? And what if she was using one and someone else wanted to borrow one? So like the mindset is there. So it was almost heartbreaking to see her have to decide with each and everything. And a lot of things she could not get rid of, because her reasoning was so solid in her brain.
If you watch Hoarding Buried Alive, which is the A&E channel on YouTube, they always give you the declutter and they give you a psychiatrist. That's
Yeah.
those two people always show up. And the psychiatrist, I was watching one last night. I was getting ready for bed, trying to talk myself out of my own hoard. And the psychiatrist said when the homeowner gets rid of stuff without thinking, they're like, this is not good because they're decluttering for show, but they're
Yeah.
not changing their mindset. So if you actually declutter too fast on that show, they don't allow you to do
I
that
know, because
either.
I'm like, they're doing what you wanted. What are you not
Uh-huh.
happy with? They're like, you're not doing it right.
Yeah, and they won't let people come in and make decisions for them because they're like, if you're going to get rid of all, you have no attachment to it. We
Yeah.
need the person's mental state to change,
Yeah.
and that changes by having repetitive decision making, which I thought was interesting.
What's so crazy is I got rid of all my dishware because I use plastic plates because I didn't want to ruin the dishware. Okay, the dishware's never been touched. It was pristine and taking up a ton of space, never used. So what was the point? The dishware owned me. I did not own the dishware. So if I
Always, yeah.
so I sold it pennies on the dollar. This kid who just moved to Virginia, who was like, I can't believe this was a real thing. I thought you guys were fake. Got the whole thing dishware. And you know what? He has no attachment to the niceness of the dishware. He'll use it. And that's what it needed to be used.
Kind of what's been helping me. Like, especially like I like business suit jackets. I don't know. I guess I just like how they look or something. But I said, I'm not wearing this. If I had to pick one from this closet, I would pick this one right here. I would pick this one. If I give this one away, somebody could go and interview with this jacket on and get a
Yeah.
job. Like, that's so
Yeah.
much better than rotting away in my closet.
Yeah.
So Ashley was helping me move, and she was like, "Why do you have so many clear bins?" And I was like, "Because I call them bins of sin. And if I can see what's in them, I'll be less likely. Like when you get a opaque bin,
Oh,
you can put anything in that, and you never have to acknowledge that it's there. Like
yeah.
I've been looking at these storage systems Costco sells. Like I'd put something in there and never look at it again. I'd be like, I don't even know. That's a black hole of my stuff. I don't have to look at it. It doesn't have to look at me. When
Yeah.
I get the clear bins, it really helps me be like, do I really want to see this forever? Or can we donate it?
True. True. I need to go through my closet and really have some
You
hard
talk about your closet, but you actually never let me see the closet.
not willing to let someone see that portion of my life.
Corey shows up to film the boot camp, and I'm like, that's so funny. I swear I've seen that shirt before because I swear I've had it. And Corey's like, you gave it to me. I was like, oh yeah, that was a while ago.
I don't buy new clothes a lot.
You used
All
to, but
that,
then you really don't anymore.
yeah, I don't anymore. So everything in the closet's probably 10 or 12 years old. A lot of things in the closet never been worn. So just have been
But you
hanging
don't
out,
like them
waiting for
because you're
that
not wearing
day.
them.
I don't dress up. I don't
So
dress up a
you,
lot.
okay, how many times a year do you dress up?
I dress up for a lot of client pickups, I will say, but I usually just throw on the same outfit every single time.
Okay,
Like
so that's
something,
one outfit. If
yeah.
it's the same outfit.
I dress up for people's birthdays, holidays, and if I have to go to anything at archer school, I try to look a little presentable.
So what if you had 10 outfits, 10 nice outfits? Would that be enough outfits? I don't, do not let me judge you with my hoard I've just had to reckon with. Corey tried to listen to them, but the Minimalist podcast, I think they've monetized their podcast now, so you can't just listen. But their initial thing was, even if you're not moving, put everything into a box and after 3 months, whatever hasn't been taken out of the box because you needed it, donate it all. Don't even look at the
Oh,
box.
moving is, the grateful part is I've moved because Nate's job and things like that. It's been a reset that not many people get. So my neighbor, she's been in her townhome for over 20 years. And she says, I'm not excited. And they were trying to clear stuff out. And my neighbor, he brought me the tiniest little cookie cutter. It was this big. And he was like, hey, I just thought you could use this. And I was like, thank you so much. But he couldn't get rid of it. So he had to he's like, don't bring it back if you don't want it. Just toss it. I just can't
He
toss it because
needed,
someone got it for me.
he
But
needed somebody else to toss it.
yeah, they're going through that. And I was like, oh, that's wild.
Ruth Ann, our grandmother, who I've lived with for the past 6 years, she has 5 shirts total.
Okay. But to her detriment, she's a shirt buyer, but she likes
She'll only ever have 5. She'll donate one and then start with a new one. But I'm still fascinated by that behavior because she has no emotional attachment to the shirt she's worn for the last 6 months.
she doesn't. I'm hoping at how old is she? 86, 87.
Uh-huh, 87.
That I can just say stuff is stuff. You don't need it.
Well, that's always the thing. When the hoarding takes the question of should I get this rid of this times 1,000, right?
Yeah.
And people are like, it's costing you your friendships, which is what I believe happiness is relationships.
Yeah, your relationship with your kids, they don't want to come over. I mean, I've watched all of the Hoarders Buried Alive multiple times.
Right.
And yeah, it's a source of contention. You lose your family over it. You're surrounded by your stuff, but you have no good relationships left over.
I mean, 2 out of 10 episodes I'm watching, CPS is called, or Adult Protective Services. Like,
Yeah,
it's not ending well.
I
But
know. It's
in the final scene, which Hoarding Bear Live like skips a massive part of that, clean out every episode. But when they go back in and it's just the bare bones, they're so ecstatic.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder what the percentage of people who continue with a clean home is.
You always get that little like 2 sentences in the last screen, but I'd be curious if it was maintainable because they seem
Yeah.
so excited to see their bed again.
I know. I wonder because it took a lifetime of money and buying and collecting to make the hoard originally. do that? Can they withstand it for, the next year or two, or is it a beginning thing
I
again?
would love to know. I would love to know.
Or do you have a twin intellect?
I don't think you had a twin interest.
Yeah, that was long enough. I joined in on yours.
The twin intellect, I really honestly just been focusing on this hoarding stuff. Not that I'm a hoarder. Okay, guys, back off, back off. I claimed minimalism. I rescinded my license, my minimalist license, and we'll have to go back to the drawing board. But I had to ask myself because I moved, why do you have this? What was it for? What are you planning? Why can't you let it go? And really, that's like shoot.
Yeah.
So I really been trying to like listen to Hoarding Buried Alive, and I had the little AI chatbot. I said, act like the minimalist and let's walk through. It was interesting. I said, because the big thing about the minimalist podcast, which are these two guys, they said Walmart is your storage facility and you only have to pay the rental fee when you need to pick it up. I.e., if you need a stapler, you go buy it when you need it. You don't have a stapler for your whole life and only use it once, right? You go buy it when it's needed. But I was like, okay, but then now you have the stapler. And it was like, right, you should. It said, if you use, I said, I probably staple things twice a year. And it said, well, then go to FedEx, the AI thing that was acting like them. Or go to a friend's house and borrow their stapler. So you don't have to. But it's like, but if you use it enough, you can keep it. But if you want the methodology of how they approach a stapler, it is do not have the stapler if it's not used frequently. And I don't staple things a lot.
What's frequent? Because when you need a stapler, you want a stapler.
I think it comes down to the individual, right? How often are you stapling things?
Well, I make an out. I like paper. So I staple more often than you probably.
And I
You
hate
have
paper.
everything. Huh?
I hate paper, but I have a scanner, which you that's a great example. You use my scanner a lot. You'll be like, can you scan this for me?
Yeah.
You don't want to buy one because you don't use a scanner, but every twice a year when you need something scanned, you'll just bring it to me.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay, great.
Right.
You just
Right.
borrowed my air pump, which is wild because you pump up tires so much more than I do, but you're borrowing mine.
Because Sheets and Wawa's have free air, so I will just go get more air there.
So Corey's pro borrow compressor.
I guess I am pro borrow.
So yeah, that's what it's saying is when it's the option to buy, which like air compressor, that was like $20. May I think that one you have is kind of nice, so don't break it. But like to buy or to borrow, opt for borrow.
Yeah, and I see more now is there's limited space in your home and you might use the air compressor. The reason why I need an air compressor is Heather finally got my bike to me after all these years I've never ridden it.
You could have gone and get it. You could have gone and
No, I
get
know,
it.
and I don't have a car to bring it over, so Heather brought it with her little U-Haul thing, and I was like, "Yeah, I'll definitely ride it." But the tire was as flat as could be, and Heather's like, "Don't you have an air compressor?" I said, "I don't," and it's because I would not use it enough to want one. So I was like, "If Heather doesn't have one, how can I get this bicycle to Wawa?"
So I have done bike transport and air compressor transport. Have you
Yeah.
compressed your tires?
I said I asked Nate to do it. I'm
Ah.
delegating as the leader of the girls' club would do.
Boys, get out of the mud puddle, pump up the tires, back in the mud puddle immediately. So
Yeah. Oh,
interesting, yeah.
my twin intellect is my son wants to go bike riding with me, so he's buying his own bike. What's funny is he tried to buy the bike on Walmart.com.
Okay.
Walmart did not like his little baby checking account debit card. I don't
Really?
know why. Archer, I could have intervened, but I did not. He probably spent 4 hours on the phone with Navy Federal to try to figure it out. Nor did they ever figure it out. Um, Before Navy Federal was like, I don't know, it seems like it's something on Walmart's end and it doesn't like your card, man. You're gonna have to ask your mom to buy it for you.
Really?
And
That's
I
what
said,
they
Arch
said?
sitting with the problem. So he would
I
be
could
on the
pay
phone.
money to watch Archer call a customer support line.
Yeah, it was so funny because he wants to ask my opinion, but like the thing is listening. First, you get the automated AI, and it's listening to every little sniffle you're making. Be like, I didn't think I'd catch that. So he's
That
like,
drives me up a wall. I'm
yeah.
sorry.
So the first time he types in his account number wrong, they can't find him. He has to hang up. The second time he sits on the phone on the wait for over 60 minutes and accidentally hangs up on it. The
That
next time he leaves his
crazy.
phone number for a callback, they call back. He can't hear him. They hang up. He calls back, finally gets somebody.
And this is why I can't take phone calls because of this trauma that everybody has to go through in making a call.
And I said, you know what? This is a rite of passage. He needs to know that it's difficult to get things when you need them. And he was willing to sit on the phone for all this
I
time.
wish he had gotten the satisfaction of it being resolved though.
He did not get it, and that was unfortunate. I just woke up to a text message because I went to bed by the time he was still at it. And it was like payment failed.
Did you? It's probably because his bank account's so new. There's no transaction.
So I said, I'll teach you how to make a transfer. You can transfer me the money, and we'll buy it together using my card so you can get the bike finally. But I was like, good for him to stick it out, and he stuck it out. He stayed on it. I was more frustrated for him than he was for himself, but he was willing to sit there. He actually got on the chat.
Chat's not gonna help you, brother. That's just gonna refer you back to the phone number.
I said, at least you're doing it, dude. At least you're doing it.
Did he order the bike?
We have not ordered the bike. Last night, I gave him a 1 hour span to come and contact me to get the bike. The time went up, so he has to wait another day.
Corey has these. Corey's teaching archers some life lessons here. We hear about them every Saturday. Can't wait for this week's update.
Yeah, stay tuned. But yeah, him sitting with the struggle and, back to the boot camp, you're going to sit with the struggle of trying to find the right lighting and everything like that. And it's, are you willing to, or are you going to give up because you're frustrated? But do you want the bike? Do you want the better photos? Do you want more money in your business? You're going to sit with it longer. You're going to figure it out. And hopefully you'll get a bike, and hopefully you'll get better photos and make more sales. So that's my
We're all archers, and life is just the Navy Federal Support Line. But that's just summary of today's podcast.
It really, really, truly is. That's all I have for today. I've got to get to bacon. We got an Easter class I'm working on.
Okay, crocky top the morning to you. I'll see you when I see you.
Take care, alligators, crocodiles.
Crocky.